guys, it's Rebecca Scritchfield, author of the book Body Kindness and host of this podcast. I just wanted to make sure that you all know about the free e-course I now have available. It's at bodykindnessbook.com. Click on Get Started, and when you give your name and email address, you will get an email that will give you instant access to my free on-demand digital training, and we're going to get you started on your body kindness journey right away. And if you don't have the book Body Kindness yet, you'll get to get a little snack by enjoying the first chapter, and you can pick up the book Body Kindness wherever books are sold. If you haven't heard, I was so thrilled that the New York Times book review reviewed Body Kindness and said it was simple and true, and that for the vast majority of us, diets don't work and we need to figure out how to change our habits instead. So I've been thrilled with the response I've gotten so far. I've had people post pictures of their grandmas holding the book. Their kids are holding the book. I'm getting photos of their scales being smashed to smithereens, or, notes saying, "I'm not your friend anymore." So I love it. Keep it coming. And remember that the journey toward health and wellness starts by being good to yourself. I look forward to seeing you online at my website, bodykindnessbook.com, and also on social media. Because real health is about being good to yourself, it's time for Body Kindness, the place where all bodies fit and weight is just a number. Hi, I'm Rebecca Scritchfield, author of the book Body Kindness. I'm a registered dietitian and nutritionist and host of this podcast. Plus, once a month, I check in with my good friend, Bernie Salazar. He's the season 5 at-home winner of NBC's The Biggest Loser and another former chronic dieter. And we're going to check in with each other on our own body kindness practice for mutual support and accountability. So today it's time for a monthly check-in with my good friend Bernie, and he and I are so close with each other. We've been sharing the honest truth about what it's like trying to be good to ourselves and be good to our bodies and diet culture. And so these are episodes where we're just going to be real, truthful, not hold anything back, in the hopes that we help each other out and help each other stay honest and accountable to our own well-being, help hopefully find a partner in navigating all these things that are coming our way, telling us that, we should be doing something rigid that we know doesn't work. And hopefully you guys find some partnership and community here as well, because we really are in all this together. So Bernie, I'm so glad to be joining you in this new year. It's just last year was so great, and I just am so impressed with how much you have learned and grown. And now I kind of feel like it's up to just keep, challenging ourselves and encouraging ourselves. So, and I know I need you to encourage me too. So thank you for joining me, and let's just go ahead and dive right in.
Hey, Rebecca, Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to all of your listeners. I am excited to be back this year, Rebecca. I think that I'm in such a different place than I was last year when we kind of started chatting a bit on this podcast. I'm proud of myself, and I'm proud that I'm able to say that. I definitely have jumped into body kindness, and I just feel so much more positive, not only about myself, but about the world around me. So I wanted to thank you for that. And I wanted to congratulate you on your book. I know that a lot of these listeners probably know that you have one out there, but if you don't, she has one. Tell your friends and your mama, because it is great. I have my copy, and I want to thank you for that. So I'm ready to jump in. So there's my little plug for the book, but it's only because it really has changed the way that I view myself in the world. So thank you for that. And I agree. Let's keep it going this new year. I now have a 1-year-old, Rebecca. So I need all the energy and kindness that I can get in my life.
Do you have a walker yet, or is that coming around the pike?
No, thank goodness. And I say that in such a loving way, because I've celebrated every milestone that my little girl has had. I mean, literally, I am that parent in the background clapping and jumping up and down. So when she started going from, being stationary to rolling over, I was the cheerleader. She went, started crawling. I was super excited and probably captured every crawl she ever moved. But now I'm super worn out and a little bit tired of following her everywhere. So I'm happy that she hasn't started walking just yet. She's cruising. She's a cruiser. She's holding on to walls.
Well, it's going to be any day now, and then it'll be even more keeping up. And yeah, which is good. It's good for our well-being and our physical activity and all that stuff. But like you said, it can be very...
Oh, it's nerve-wracking. It's not even that I'm following her around. I can do that and I enjoy that. It's what is she going to bump into? What's happening there? Where'd this bruise come from? And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm a horrible parent.
No, you're a great parent. Those scars and bruises mean she's experiencing life.
So I have to, I'm still working on padding my entire house. Yeah, it's all character. Yes.
Oh gosh, that's too funny.
So listen, Rebecca, I have a couple questions for you. This year, because we had talked a little bit on a resolution show about resolutions and what we thought of them and what I had planned on doing this year. And one of the things that I had talked about was being more active with my family, which is definitely something that I want to make sure that I'm doing this year. But I also have thought about it ever since the new year. And I realized that one of the things that I didn't include as much was a little bit of me time. I'm loving, of course, with all my heart, my family, and especially time that I spent with my daughter. But I feel like I forgot to mention me time.
Yeah, you just put yourself not even last, just you're not even on your own list.
That's a good way to put it. You're right. It wasn't even on the list. And again, it's even difficult for me to say that because when I'm bringing this up, it's not that I don't thoroughly, love and enjoy spending time with my wife and with my little girl and my mom and my brother and, everybody. But I started thinking, man, it's probably pretty important that I, especially because we've talked so much about what it means to be kind to yourself and kind to your body. I never even thought about putting myself on there.
Yeah. I mean, it's schedule, we can't control the fact that there's 24 hours in a day. And we're never going to get done everything we want to get done. And the perfect example with what I'm dealing with right now, I have a suitcase that has been unpacked and in my closet since last April.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm getting nervous that it is going to be a year. Now, actually, I'll correct myself. There was a trip in October. So there was a swapping out of clothes that occurred, but it is now back, out and open. And yeah. And so it's like, it's a headache to try to get dressed in the morning. It's a nuisance. And I look at it and it's like a nagging hangnail. Like I got to take care of this. Right. But if I was a judger, right, every day I would beat myself up that your suitcase and your clothes, like that, you're disorganized and you suck, all this stuff. But it's like, that's not helpful, and it is on my calendar to work on it tonight. But I got to be honest that there have been a few work things that also popped up and they're all important to me. And at the end of the day, these work things are going to cause me more stress if I don't handle them and more than like a messy closet. And so my point of relating to this is this idea that we have to tolerate messiness in our lives and also that we're never going to have these perfect days where everything we absolutely want to get done, we get done, unless we somehow only give ourselves like one thing to do today. Like my day's a success if I get out of bed and put clean clothes on, So I think as far as time management goes, it is something we are always going to have to manage. We have to decide what's important to us through the scheduling. And that includes me time and not just like me time for body kindness, right? Because like, when I went to yoga this week, it felt like me time. It was a great class. I mean, I could do these poses that I hadn't been able to do before. So it really was great. And I know it was taking care of myself, but what about just getting to sleep in or just reading a magazine or, just something that isn't about self-improvement type of me time, I think is also important. So, I'm not sure if you're having no me time or like specifically how you want to add it in, but without question, even if it's not directly benefiting your body kindness practice, it's still worthwhile me time because we're going to go nuts if we don't cut ourselves a break and say, I don't have to be a parent right now. I just have to be Bernie for a little bit.
Yeah. So there's two things that you brought up. And I want to start with the first one, which is, life and our days can be messy. And I think that giving yourself permission to be okay with that sometimes it was good for me to hear right now. So I just wanted to repeat that again. Maybe one of our listeners will get something out of that as well, because I'm one of those people that really tends to beat myself up over mess and carries a little sponge with me just to make sure that there isn't any around. And that can be totally exhausting. And two, I guess in my mind, I was thinking me time is, maybe some time doing an activity that I really enjoy by myself in this zone, like maybe what it looked like before all the blessings in my life, I guess. It's so funny how we tend to relate things to how they were instead of really allowing ourselves to sometimes transform or merge or discover what it looks like now. So that's something that I think could really work, that I could be working on is, what does that me time look like now? And that's worth examining.
Yeah. And it's great when you can combine something that's me time with something that you need to do anyway, like, okay, my me time is going to be getting that sleep that I know I need, or taking a nap, right? Or it's going to be the workout thing. It's going to be like my me time is going to be that I want to experiment with a new recipe because I really do want to enjoy a delicious meal or something. So all of that is absolutely. But I do think that we can give ourselves this obligation that me time has to be something where I'm working on bettering myself. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having an interest in self-improvement in the way that it helps you feel like you're creating a better life. But sometimes self-improvement is like, well, I'm working on myself because I'm not good enough as I am right now. So I think we all need to start from a place of self-acceptance and self-compassion and then pursue what we find interesting. But we all need a little window where we could be like, you know what? Like, I just literally want an hour of nothing and I'm going to be totally cool with that. And that doesn't mean that I suck at body kindness. It means that I can just kind of unplug and reboot myself for a little bit because I need to kind of get my emotions back down to neutral. I need to recharge my batteries or just because I need some quiet time and space. We really haven't, if you think of how much information is thrown at us all the time. I think that I probably don't have this exactly right, but you get the idea that between our generation and our grandparents, we see in 3 months the amount of information that they saw in over a year, So it's like, we're just freaking tired, man. There's too much going on.
I could totally agree with that. And I actually thought about this, Rebecca, when I was having almost like a brunch with some friends who had called me. They've been trying to get in contact with me all the time. And I am that friend that doesn't necessarily always, gosh, I say I'm busy and I don't know how, or why or where my time goes, but I was able to meet up with them finally. And it was so nice. Like you said, it wasn't something where I, put it on my calendar and said, this is going to improve me, but it did enrich my life in a way that I needed. And that's where I started thinking, you know what, when I talked to Rebecca about, this new year and just everything, I forgot to mention that those moments of just sharing a conversation, some words with somebody are tremendously beneficial.
Absolutely. I mean, if it boosts your mood, it's going to help you take better care of yourself. It's going to boost your motivation to want to be kind to your body, to want to engage with the world. Yeah. And so it could seem like, oh my gosh, I'm going to the bar for a beer and pretzels and burgers or whatever, and you could say that's not body kindness, but it's like, nobody says you have to over drink. Nobody says you have to eat so much you're going to get stuffed. Are you out there to enjoy the conversation, the people, and some bar food, right? Without guilt, without punishment, without shame, but that it's part of what helps you get a good night's sleep. It's part of what excites you about staying physically active because you value that, that it's almost like a mosaic. It's part of what you do, but it doesn't define, oh, well, this is bad. And so, this is taking away from my health right now. And it's actually the opposite. It's things that help you stay engaged and connected to other people and to help build your energy for positive ways of taking care of yourself. actually contribute to your well-being, and thinking in that other direction is like diet mind, it's just another way to deprive yourself, really.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. And just for all the listeners out there, and Rebecca, I'm going to go ahead and put myself on blast right now. Rebecca is awesome because I have a whole outline to follow, but I just jump right in, Rebecca, and I feel like I kind of just go everywhere. So that was the section for the updates, and I felt like I also threw in challenges and successes and different things in there as well.
Hey, that totally works for me.
Just want to make sure the listeners know it's all my doing. Another thing that I wanted to talk about, Rebecca, on this update portion, and was just the fact that I haven't been to the doctor in a while. And being that this is the first month of the new year, I'm putting it out there. I want to challenge myself because I'm going to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of doctors. I have nothing against them personally, other than a fear of going to them, because I think that, I live so much of my life kind of, unfortunately, having to go to doctors for, when I was sick or bad things, or then being with a doctor and their first thing is, well, you need to lose some weight. That's all I hear. And part of me, I think at 13, I started saying, wow, you went to medical school for that. And then my mom got really mad at me because I said that out loud, not in my inside brain voice. So and that wasn't because I was cool. It's just because I was so tired of hearing that, Rebecca. So this year, I want to start off with a good visit. What are your thoughts on that, just in general?
Well, I mean, a lot of people have been shamed by the doctor, and that's unfortunate. It's tough. I mean, do they really get help in how to counsel people? No. Do they really get help on the psychological side of things? No. For the amount of time they have and what they're told, it's like, look at the BMI. And if you can give them some stern look, then, maybe that will motivate them, or maybe they'll have a health scare, actually, it's funny you brought up the doctor. My husband went to go see his doctor because he had something wrong with his eyes. He's a cameraman and he holds a camera up to his eye a lot. And what ended up developing was a clogged oil duct that didn't go away. And he avoided going to the doctor for a while because why bother, right? I got work and other things to do, until it's like his eyes practically shut. Well, anyway, finally went. It's a chalazion. Well, actually, I'm jumping. So he went to the doctor first to then get a referral to the eye doctor to make sure that was appropriate course. And she said yes, but she did a cholesterol test on him and it wasn't fasting. And he genetically has higher cholesterol anyway. And he had just worked through the elections and he's actually like a thin man. So he actually has something that I'm always raising flags about. People will look at you and won't ask you if you exercise or eat right because they assume you do. And it's kind of like that other side of weight bias that's really unfair. So his cholesterol was crazy high, scared him really bad, which in some ways you could say is somewhat helpful, except for he's like, that's it. No this, no that, no, all this extreme fear. We have kegs in our house and he's like, no alcohol whatsoever. And I'm just like, what are you going to do in 3 months when all of a sudden it's better? And we had to have a serious heart to heart about this is that no, you can't use just because your body is thin that you don't need to take care of it. We can work with each other so that we both get time to exercise. I know that your meals at home are nutritious, but when you're on the job, and he even said, I went from salads with a piece of fruit and a bottle of water to a sandwich with chips and diet soda, consistently. So it was pendulum swings. There wasn't balance. He was physically inactive and tired from traveling. And so whether or not, again, I don't really trust this cholesterol because he wasn't fasting, but it was so high that even when it comes down from fasting, it's still a concern. So on a small portion, okay, that health scare, right? Put him into action. Because there's nothing I could do to be like, hey, you really need to exercise. Hey, you really need to exercise. That's I can be supportive and kind and loving, but he's the one that decides when he wants to exercise and how much. I'm here for him, but that is I am not a police officer. So I'm glad that he said, okay, I care about this. And we sat down and worked together and it's benefiting everybody. He feels better getting more regular activity. And, so that is one potential positive. But on the other side, and I think what you're talking about, and is the typical norm, is that the second a doctor sees a person of size, rather than really get to know them, well, talk to me about your current eating habits. Talk to me about your current exercise habits. What's stressing you out? Can I connect you with resources, with dietitians or therapists? How can I help you? They say, you need to lose weight. You want to do this cleansy diety program that we offer in my office. So they're part of the problem, focusing on diet, and they're using their authority to scare people. And what we're seeing in the data is that weight loss diets don't lead to long-term behavior change. They create stress, depression, all these poor things, that it's better to focus on the behavior change. Even if you change your habits, you may not lose weight, but you can improve your health. So there's a really twisted thing going on, but yes, you need to see the doctor, but find a doctor that's going to listen and trust and set a boundary right away. Make sure your doctor knows kind of where you've been and set a boundary and say, I am working on this. I'm working on that. I have a support system here and here, but yes, I would like to know medically, how are my labs? Do you have concerns for me medically based on my labs with no regard to my appearance? And specifically ask that question and see what kind of response you get. But you have a right to have a compassionate, doctor who's not going to be weight biased, who will actually chart where you're at with your habits and what you're working on. And as long as you say, I'm making progress here, or I might need help here, that doctor shouldn't try to push, well, you need to eat vegan or you need to eat paleo, right? Two totally different sides of the spectrum. They should not push something on you that you're not asking for help with. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. And I'll tell you what, that's why I wanted to bring it up, just because, first of all, I need to do it for myself, because if where I really am continuing on this body kindness journey that I've taken on with you, I don't think it's responsible of me or kind for me to just not know what's on the inside pages of me, of this book. So I definitely want to kind of just get some of the facts straight. And I think that it's time that I, am honest with myself medically, kind of what I put my body through, because it's been through so many ups and downs appearance wise that I need to see what really is going on the inside. And I wanted to make sure that this time I was doing it in a way that was helpful as opposed to harmful, because again, I was turned off by doctors and the way they approached me for so long. So I guess that's something that I need to work on this year. And I definitely would love your support in that. I'm going to go ahead and schedule something. And I'm going to pose this to myself and pose it to you and see what you think. I would be willing to share some of the results, and let's see kind of what they mean and how I can work through some of that this year in a way that is in line with body kindness and with everything that we've talked about.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think we can share it on next month's check-in episode, supposing that there's, if you got some results back or feedback. And the other place that I'm thinking about is the Be Kind Insider group, which is our private Facebook group. So if you're not in it yet, you can go to bodykindnessbook.com and click Get Started. And that is going to get you the free e-course and as a free book chapter if you don't have the book, and, can kind of test it out to see if it's for you, but it's for you, so you can buy it. Then you'll get invited to the free Facebook group, and it's a private group. So it's only people who have signed up to be an insider, who've done the digital training. I'm doing a book club, a weekly book club chat that will be going on for the next couple of months. You can watch all those videos that we have, engage in the conversation. But, Bernie, I'm thinking that would be a good place for you to also kind of share Bernie medical update. And I bet you'll find that other people will have other medical experiences. So you'll help them and they can also help you. So I would suggest that too.
Yeah. Again, it's something that I know I want to do. Yeah. I sometimes I open my mouth before I should, but you know what? This is something that, again, we're talking about accountability. I'm talking about making this, who I am for the rest of my life. And yeah, that's something that I would definitely be willing to share. And I hope that, our listeners and our Facebook group can also benefit from what we're seeing with my numbers.
Yeah. Well, and that's a big step for you. What I learned most about you in our work last year was the avoidance piece, right? And the avoidance like avoiding is how you find safety, right? But it's an illusion of safety. And so this is another way where you are going to not avoid, which is very, very good, and, we face what is in front of us. And it's like, yeah, we want to know that medically things are fine. But even if medically say things are fine, if you're dissatisfied, like, you could do more, enjoyable physical activity, or just there's something that's disappointing you about exercise. Well, you change that regardless of what the medical doctor says. You do it because you want to do it. So this is just another level. Taking care of our medical and physical health is a very important part of how we respect ourselves. So,
well, and I think you hit it on the head. I mean, I know why and what I want to get from these actual medical results. I want to know, I know what I'm going to do with the data, and it's not going to be what I would have done, let's say last year. I am going to continue doing the things that bring me joy, and do it in a responsible way and in a kind way, in a way that is genuine to who I am. I'm not going to go hop on a treadmill for 5 hours because, I get a bad result. But I did feel, and I do feel, that me knowing where I really am, is important. So yeah, I'm excited about it, and I'm a little bit nervous.
Well, it's one step at a time, so we just take it one step at a time, like everything else. And it's good to get the information, and that is all it is information. You still know what you want to do for yourself, and you just keep following in that direction. I wanted to make sure I got in this listener question before the end of our show today. So she says, what are your thoughts on food swaps? I know you went into this a little bit in your book. It's something I see a lot in health and nutrition articles and blogs, and I see where they can be helpful for trying to get more veggies, etc. But it also feels like it contributes to the good versus bad food dichotomy, where the only acceptable cookie is made with applesauce, for example, which I'm laughing at because I remember writing about my client giving me cardboard cookies that was made without butter and sugar. And I was like, I'd like a real cookie, please. There's nothing worse than a client giving you their health food that's dessert, and and you're like, where's the water? I can't, there's no fat in it, so it doesn't taste good, and you don't want to be rude. But so what are your thoughts to her? So she's asking about food swaps. To me, it's thinking of this idea of cut out the pasta and only do zucchini noodles, right? I think that's kind of what she's asking about. So what are your thoughts?
So my thoughts are food swaps. That's interesting because I've swapped quite a bit in my past. And if you go into it with that swap mentality, then guess what? You're not going to get that same taste. You're never going to get that. You're not going to swap out cauliflower for mashed potatoes and be like, man, what was I doing ever eating mashed potatoes? But I think that if you go into a swap, and let me make sure I'm very clear on this. If you go into a swap with an open mind, thinking, hey, this is an opportunity for me to try something different, and I'm making it in a way that I prepared something that I definitely enjoy, then sure. But if you're completely just swapping it out, like you said, applesauce, in a cookie and no fats or oils, and the end result is horrible, then yeah, I'm not a fan of it. But at the same time, you can just try new foods without swapping them or trying to place them in a recipe as well. So I guess my feeling is it's always awesome to try new food. If there's a TV show out there, I want to be the host that says it's always awesome to try new food, because I would be that guy. But yeah, I mean, as far as swapping it out, I guess I'm not a fan, Rebecca. All me rambling was to say that I'm not a fan of just swapping out for the sake of, oh, this is healthier. If it tastes great, it tastes great. Why call it a swap at that point?
Yeah. And I mean, I would, the thing that I would say is, we got to remember that we are individuals, right? So I can point to the data that show that most Americans, I think it's 90%, don't get their daily fruit and vegetable requirements. And you know what? I'm probably in that percent who don't every day get it. I know that it is a conscious choice when I'm meal planning, when I'm putting dinner on the table. It is a conscious choice. Okay, there's going to be my kids have preferences, but we're putting veggies out. We had cooked broccoli, but they just like it raw. So broccoli was served. Fruit is served. We are consistent with those things. I'm not going to say my kids can only have the mac and cheese that is made with cauliflower and butternut squash, and we need to drastically cut the cheese, blah, 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 because I believe more in balance, and that when you balance out the plate, you have your proteins, you have your veggies, you have your fruit, that now the portion of that real thing is naturally reduced. So like you said, the taste is there and everything. And there were a few examples in the book, like if you're struggling to meet your veggies, try adding ground beef and mushrooms, because mushrooms will add flavor plus count as a vegetable. And it's not, I don't tell parents to hide it for their kids, but their kids are grateful. Like, I love meatloaf and I'm grateful that I'm also adding veggies because I know that's important. So I think there's a healthy way where you're not swapping one for the other, but you're focusing on what can I add in? And that's the healthier mindset.
Absolutely. And like for me, like I genuinely enjoy spaghetti squash. So, with my daughter, one of the things that I just went grocery shopping yesterday, and I bought a spaghetti squash. This will be her first time trying it out, but I really like what you said about not purposely hiding it. And that's something that I have really done my best actually to when I feed my daughter, because she's starting on her solids now, and we're doing, Rebecca sent me a book, listeners. It's baby-led weaning type stuff, and it's awesome. So she's really diving into what it is that we're eating, and we're eating healthier as a result. And when I give her vegetables, I am naming them, and we're singing about what it is. I'm like, cauliflower, this is cauliflower. And, she's enjoying it and she's eating it. And thank goodness I have a really healthy eater on my hands right now. But I want her to know that she's eating something that's good for her. And I want to know that that's what I'm doing as well. So yeah, I guess when the swaps, if you're swapping it just because, that's what somebody, doctor or somebody's telling you to do, then I'm not a fan. I think you just have to use your own judgment, and enjoy what you're eating.
Yeah. And I think that the listener was right in that, is that it can feel like feeding that virtuous good, bad, if the focus is on here's how I'm going to make it better. And I even use a term I talk about, healthifying. So I guess this is one of those, areas where I could maybe pay more attention and be a little bit more careful. There are certain words that are like nails on a chalkboard for me, and for a lot of people, the word healthy is one of them. And that just doesn't impact me in the same negative way. So I feel personally comfortable where I could talk about healthify that dish. And this is a healthy meal, but like I would call a healthy meal a meal that is balanced, and there could still be butter and salt in it, and maybe somebody else wouldn't. So I could see where people can get kind of charged up around those types of things. But, when I think of the idea of healthifying, I'm more thinking about balance. Like, okay, we're going to make our own pizzas at home and enjoy the different toppings that we could try for them. And we're going to serve that with some veggies and some fruit, and that might be healthified from takeout. And the only thing you have is takeout pizza, but it's not saying having a night of takeout pizza, oh, that's never going to be body kindness. Cause sometimes that is dinner,
No, absolutely. And I guess my whole deal with the swap thing is then you're not giving credit to the actual food that you're swapping it out with. Like, give cauliflower its props. And what I mean by that is, it shouldn't feel like potato's little brother, where you're just kind of like evil little brother, like, oh, we're going to mix in this cauliflower. It's like this crime-minded cook is making it to trick you. Like, no, like give cauliflower its props, enjoy it. If you don't like it mashed, then try it a different way. Don't give up on it, and definitely don't, think that that's what you have to do to every dish. If you want to include that in your dish to make it, taste better, more enjoyable for your family, and of course, add some more vegetable servings into your day, then yeah, let's do that. But I guess I'm personally, and we talked about this a lot last year, I'm kind of done labeling food as good or bad or swapping, and I'm over it, because I swap my way out of a lot of good foods. Like, there are foods that I associate with having swapped in the past, and now I'm like, oh no, I swapped it. I hated it in that dish because it didn't taste like the hamburger, and now I don't want anything to do with it in its own form.
Yeah, exactly. In general, I think we're saying is like, don't judge it. And to be only what your intention is. So yes, make cookies the way cookies come. But if it's dinner time and you are trying to enhance your veggie intake at dinner, don't feel bad if you find an easy and creative way to get veggies in there, and that, you know, you're not dieting just because you're adding in vegetables. That's good for your body. You know, you'd be dieting if you were depriving yourself of foods you liked, if you were not allowing yourself to eat when you were hungry, if you were doing punishing workouts, you know. So, you know, that it is quite possible that you are doing stuff that feels good for your body, that you know is good for your health. And it might remind you of diet culture, but you know where that line is. And I think that's kind of what the listener was getting at, just kind of how, you know, not wanting it to be a diet, but like, should I embrace that concept of swapping? And for me, I think you don't need to eliminate it. And like you said in the beginning, that swap that you're making should feel joyful, and it should be about the taste and things like that, not so I'm allowed to eat it type thing.
I love it. That's a great question. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited. I will see you definitely on the Insider group, keeping us updated on how things are going. I'll be doing the book club there and sharing my updates as well, you know, just continuing to focus on self-care and everything. So thank you again for chatting today, and we'll check back in again soon.
Absolutely. I'm off to schedule this doctor's appointment. Thank you.
Oh, good luck. Take care. If you're enjoying listening to this podcast, let me know. Shoot me a note and tell me what you'd like to hear more of. Recommend a guest and let me know how we can improve the episodes. I'm always interested in answering questions that you may have, especially in my shows with Bernie. So you can email me, Rebecca@bodykindnessbook.com, and let me know how I can continue to make you happy.